What's up, students? It's Dakota coming at you here in the youth room, actually. Just wanted to reach out to you, connect, see what's going on, ask how you guys are doing. Um, Life's got some pretty significant changes going on right now. For me, one of the biggest things is this building is empty every day. Just me and the pastors, and we're meeting, talking, trying to figure out how to create a new space. When I say that, I mean a digital space, right? Finding a way to connect with you guys in ways that we've never had to, in ways that we didn't expect to have to for a few years, to be honest. Um, and so it's just been crazy, and it's been a lot of work, but it's coming out, right? So finally, I'm getting a chance to do a video here to talk to you guys, and I'm gonna try to be doing these once a week. So definitely be checking back here. We'll be posting these, like I said, once a week. Um, for you guys, the changes are a little bit more extreme. I feel like you guys, your school has been delayed. We don't know when you're going back in. It sounds like April, but even then, who really knows right now? Church has been canceled, so you guys don't have this meeting place anymore. You're not gathering here, hanging out. For some of you, this means that you're not even seeing some of your friends, and I know that's really hard. For those of you who are still able to see your friends, you're supposed to remain like 6 feet apart. And so with that in mind, that's basically if they reach out their hands, you reach out your hands. That's about how far you're supposed to be right now. And that's crazy. I can't even imagine being that far away from my best friend, especially if we're in the same place, right? So with that, like all of these are going on, and even more things. You've got like the restaurants are closed right now, and you don't even need to read off the list. But what's going on is these are caused by fear, right? Fear is the driving force for these decisions because people are afraid of their mortal lives over what is honestly a fairly contagious virus. It's one of those things where we're allowing that to say, because of this, we got to put these restrictions in place and be safe. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about fear, talk about anxiety, and we're gonna just see where it goes from there. So what is fear? So fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. All right, so this fear of this virus is because it's a threat, right? It's a threat to us, especially those who are a little bit older. They're at risk for dying from this thing, right? So it's a threat. It's dangerous. All right, so what do we need to know about fear from a personal standpoint? All right, when I say that, it's like, so from person to person, what do we need to know about fear for us to understand a little bit more what it is? One of the first things I want to tell you is that fear is healthy and fear is normal. All right, when I say that, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's healthy. All right. Fear is something that is inside of our brains. It's something that we are hardwired to feel, something that we're hardwired to experience. And so if you're feeling it, you're a normal way to be. Now, again, it's normal. Everybody experiences fear. Everyone should experience fear. You shouldn't feel like you have to swallow that and put it down and hide it. Everyone experiences it. Now, while as I'm saying that, there are some stuff to keep in mind. There are ranges of fear. There's mild fear where it's like, okay, this is scary. And then there's severe fear where you're so crippled by it, you can't do anything. Okay? That is not healthy. Mild's healthy, and sometimes depending on the threat, it can progress and it can still be healthy, but it just depends on the level of the threat. But overall, fear is not meant to be severe and cripple us. Fear is meant to motivate us to do something, right? And so mild fear is totally okay. The biggest thing is to be aware of your fear and to ask, is this more or less than what I should be feeling? All right, don't be afraid to ask those kinds of questions with yourself. All right, the next big thing is there's 3 types of fear that we got to talk about. So there's instinctual fear. This means that it's a fear that we're born with. It's something that we just know we shouldn't mess with from day one. Okay? So for some of us, that might be, we're afraid of harming ourselves, of being harmed. All right? We're afraid of spiders, snakes, whatever. Some of those might be instinctual for you. Some of them are going to actually be learned. And when I say learned, that means that you're watching other people do something, and either you're like, okay, that action is scary, or you're saying you're watching other people be afraid of this thing and say, oh, I'm supposed to be afraid of this, right? So it's learned. We're observing, and we're saying, because of what we're seeing, I too will be afraid. Okay, and then finally there's taught fear. And so these are the kind of fears where like your parents, maybe your grandparents, stuff like that, would talk to you and tell you stories that are meant to scare you, to keep you away from something. For example, terrible one, kidnapping. Right? So when it comes to schools and practicing safe behaviors around strangers, our parents were the ones that said stranger danger, because they wanted to make sure that we were understanding of that fear and aware of it. So that's a taught fear because it came from them to us, right? So with those, depending on what's going on, they can actually work to intensify each other. And when I say that, if you've already learned something is fear, now someone's trying to teach you it's a fear, you might add more emphasis to it than what was originally honest. So you might be more and more afraid. Fear can be anticipatory. Big word. So if you've ever anticipated something, you're waiting for it, typically with like excitement or something. So with fear, it can be anticipatory. It means that we are anticipating that something is going to be dangerous or a threat, and that's why we're afraid now. For example, maybe you had a bad experience with a dog, okay? So now when you see a dog, you anticipate that that dog is going to do what that first dog did. You know, maybe that first dog bit you. You got bit when you were younger. So now you see a dog and you go, okay, I'm afraid because I know what's happening. I think he's going to bite me. He might not actually do it, but fear can still be anticipatory. It can be something that is based off of something that we think is going to come. So it may not actually be a literal immediate danger, but what ends up happening is that anxiety over what's going on is creating that fear. Anxiety and fear play really, really closely together. That's going to be one of the points we talk about here in a minute too. So the next thing is fear reactions, right? So we got to talk about how do we react to fear. So we're going to break this down a little bit more, but there's 3 basic words you got to know: fight, flight, and freeze. You've probably heard these before. So if you're somebody who's going to take flight, it means that you run off. You don't even think about it. You're taking off. You are gone. If you're a fighter, you're putting your fists up and you're like, I'm ready to go. And it's something where you're going to fight back. And then if you freeze, you just kind of freeze there. You're stuck. It's almost like time has stopped because you don't know what to do. Okay, and so fear drives each one of those. And so, a perfect example, when I see a spider, my immediate reaction is to grab a shoe and whack it. I don't look and see what kind of spider it is. I don't say, oh, maybe I should get it outside. I should get it out of that. No. Even if I'm outside, if I see it, I'm like, nope, it's got to die. Why? Because I'm terrified of them. I don't like them. I don't like the idea of them. They bite. They're weird. They're nasty. That's just me. Whatever. It's fine. And so with that in mind, right, so like my reaction to that fear is fight. With other things, it might be flight. With other things, it might be freeze. And for each one of us, that same fear could be something different. For some of you, you see a spider and you freeze, you don't know what to do, you just go, Mom! And you hope that she's running to save you, and you really have no idea, right? The last thing I want to talk about fear and anxiety play with each other. They are, it feels like they're 2 sides of the same coin, right? And when I say that, a lot of us, fear drives our anxiety. For a lot of us, anxiety drives our fear. And so we might become afraid of something, and because we're afraid of that thing, we now get this built-up anxiety that just takes over time, right? Or for some of us, we deal with anxiety on a daily basis, and when we see something that we're afraid of, it piques it, right? And so for some of you, you guys might be having a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear over what's going on right now, just because there's a lot of unknown. We're in really unfamiliar territory. I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I've never seen anything like this. It's hard. It's really difficult for you guys, and I am so sorry that you guys are doing this. All right, so we're talking about this fear. We're talking about reactions. So I want to break down a little bit more. What do reactions look like, and what is our reaction supposed to be? So, on average, how do you think people are reacting? Well, they're letting fear control them. The average person is saying, I'm so afraid of this thing, what do I need to do? And it's like they're listening to that voice in their head of fear saying, you need to do blank. And they go, fine, and they do it. And they take off, and they just do that thing. So what that looks like is sometimes it means that we're almost like not responsible for our actions, right? So we do whatever actions during this fear, and our reaction is to say, oh, that was my fear, I'm sorry. It's almost like we're saying fear is this separate person from us that we're just kind of hanging out with. Hey, fear, what's up? Yeah, let's go. And and it's like they just let fear do the leading. They go wherever fear wants them to go. So for some of us, this looks like lashing out. So maybe right now, you're afraid, your anxiety's a little bit up, your parents are afraid, their anxiety's a little bit up, and so you guys are butting heads at home. And so it creates this place of lashing out. Oh, Mom, I can't stand you right now. Or, oh, why are my kids home right now? Oh my gosh. And you guys you're having a hard time with it. For some of you, maybe it's overreacting. How many of you guys have either been to a grocery store or seen the photos online of the empty shelves at Walmart, Meijer, Target, wherever of toilet paper? Oh yeah, there's nobody here. So with that in mind, right, all of us have seen these photos. They're around there everywhere. If you haven't seen it, comment. We'll get one posted for you guys so you can see it, because it's insane, right? People are overreacting. They're saying, because I'm so afraid and I'm seeing other people buy this stuff, I must have to buy this stuff, right? And from there, we overreact and we get fending for ourselves. And so when I say that, we stop caring about those around us. We don't care about our neighbors or our friends. We're focused solely on self-preservation or self-survival, Okay? These are the people that when you're walking through the store, they've got 3 grocery carts that are filled to the brim with canned goods, boxed mac and cheese, toilet paper, all that kind of stuff, and leaving not enough for anybody else behind because they're just so terrified they're going to be locked in their house for months and months and months. And they think that this is what they have to do, right? It's all about self-preservation for them. And the last thing is they fall into despair. It's that point where you just feel like all the darkness surrounding you and you feel like there's no hope, there's no light, and you just get down and depressed and you just keep falling down into despair. And it's hard, right? And it's one of those things where because of the fear, it's easy to fall into despair. And so these are the average reactions. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage you that that's not how we should be responding. In light of everything going on, there's a different way we're supposed to respond. And so we're going to look at Philippians 4, all right? So if you want to grab your Bible, I'm cheating, I got mine here and it's already open, but go ahead, grab your Bible. We're going to turn to Philippians chapter 4, and we're going to start reading in verse 4, and we're going to go through verse 9. So starting in verse 4, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, and whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So with what we just read, right? So this is in Philippians. So with Philippians, it's a letter written by Paul to a church in Philippi. And what he was trying to encourage them was saying, hey guys, look, do not be anxious. And you're like, oh great, I feel so much better. Whew, if only somebody told me not to be anxious. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. Okay, but what he's trying to say, and so just to reiterate here, he's not saying do not be anxious on your own. He says do not be anxious, but in every situation by prayer and petition, okay? That means giving it up, right? Prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, okay? So what can cure anxiety? Peace, right? What can take care of our fear and anxiety? Peace. The peace of God, which transcends or is past all understanding. Okay, he's talking about a peace that is so crazy unique, so crazy different that we can't even understand it. Okay? And so with that, this is our response to fear. This is our response to anxiety, is to do not be anxious, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. All right? And so what he gives is this final thought, right? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. All right, and so what he's saying is when we fill our heads with all of this stuff that can create fear is what's going to drive us. He's saying that whenever we're looking at the media and we're saying, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end, what is happening out there, we're letting in fear and anxiety. But instead if we focus on the things that are mentioned there, we instead can turn our focus on to the goodness and to the greatness of God, and instead be focused on what he wants us to focus on. All right, so one of the biggest things, like I said earlier, anxiety and fear, they're natural, they're healthy. There's a healthy way to have these. What's not healthy is allowing it to control us. So how do we stop letting it control us? Well, us as Christians, we're told again, do not be anxious. And the peace of God, and to allow the peace of God that it transcends understanding to basically take care of it for us. So how do we do that? We let him in. And when I say let him in, we say, we give it to God. We say it in prayer. We get down on our knees if we have to. And we say, God, take my fear. God, take this anxiety. And in that, you still do it with thanksgiving. You say, God, thank you for being good. Thank you for being you. Thank you for loving me. All right, we can't forget that piece because it's thinking on those things, thinking those thoughts that can help drive out the fearful thoughts that are already in our head. It's being able to say, God, just take this fear and thank you for loving me even in it. That allows us to begin to think clearly again and allow us to not be controlled by our fear because verbalizing it like that allows us to continuously acknowledge what's going on. All right? And so one of the biggest things that I'm encouraging you with this is that you have the ability to give this to God and have the ability to overcome this fear that some of your friends, maybe even some of your family may not have. Because with them, if you do not have God in situations like this, you don't have someone to give it to. And so what happens is those average responses happen because they hold on to their fear because there's nowhere for the fear to go. But for us, we have the opportunity to give our fear to God and to open ourselves up and even honestly to be able to take on some of their fear and give that up to God. And it also gives us the opportunity now to speak into their life about God and how we're able to overcome our fear because God takes it from us, because God is good. All right? And so with that, what I just want to encourage you is that because of God, we have this hope. And this hope can eliminate this fear. And this hope can spread from not just us, but to other people. And so one of my prayers right now is that while we're going through this, that the hope that God has put in us is more contagious than some virus. And that more people will catch that than the grossness, if you will. So with this in head, we're just going to look ahead here. As we keep doing this, this is the first video. I'm going to try to put out a video every week with the teaching to talk to you guys and connect. We also recently found out that there's a way that we can connect via like a face-to-face, like a video conference. And so I'll be sending you guys links to set that up so we can figure out a good time. Thinking probably Monday evenings, doing some little like devotional Bible study thing and live with you guys, so that way we can talk with each other and goof around a little bit too. And then on top of that, so it's publishing today, starting today with this video, is the launch of a new website. The website is called Relentless Students. And so what it is, we're relentless, guys. If we look at Romans 12, let's take a second here. We'll look at Romans 12. Boom. Okay. So in Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, it says, if I can get there, perfect. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. The biggest thing there is do not conform, right? We are relentless in our pursuit of changing and being transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so, when we're talking about this fear, this is a perfect time to say, like, yeah, this is a relentless pursuit for us. We're relentlessly pursuing that. So like I said, that website's going to be launching later today. It's going to have daily devotions. So I'm going to be posting some sort of short 2 to 3 minute devotional on there every single day. I'm also going to be posting these videos on there once a week, and I'm going to be trying to pull some other resources from other teachers around, so there's more content for you guys. There's also going to be a forum where you guys can ask questions and make comments and talk a little bit. Feel free to use that. I want to see you guys being able to have a safe place to talk. Some of you guys don't have Facebook, some of you guys don't have Instagram, so this is kind of a place where hopefully we can all gather and communicate well. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys, like I said, sometime Monday night. I'll have more information on that later, and then I'll see you again next Friday. Have a good day, guys.